I'm Steve Ashbrook. I'm the Fire Chief of the Madera and Indian Hill Joint Fire District, and with me is Lieutenant Paul Phillips with the Madera Police Department. This incident will switch fairly soon from a fire incident to a law enforcement incident, and so some of those questions Paul will have to answer. The rest of them I'll try to give you. We were dispatched at 15:18 hours to the report of a plane down on Kaywood. Kaywood is the street just to the east of us. We're standing on Rollimede right now. The address that we're going to use for this incident is 6548 Rollimede, spelling Rollymmeade. There is a twin Piper down in the backyard of 6548 Rollimede. It has a tail number that we have given to authorities to try to find out as much about the aircraft as we can. But since we do not know about who was on the aircraft, how many souls were on the aircraft, I'm going to not give you the tail number right now. The Madera and Indian Hill Fire Department, Quint 65, was first on the scene at 15:24 and found the aircraft down, having struck a remodeled extension of the house at the back of 6548 Rollimede. The aircraft was on fire. The fire was extinguished. There was a search done of the home immediately, and we have been able to confirm that everybody that lives in the home has been accounted for and is safe, including 2 dogs. At this particular point in time, we think the plane was inbound to Lunken Airport. There is a report that the aircraft was on a mission of sorts to take photographs of the area. We're not certain exactly what area that was or whether there was more than one person on board the aircraft. Those are what we're trying to find out right now. Ohio State Patrol has been called in. The Madera Police Department uses the Ohio State Police for these investigations as their lead. We're receiving assistance from the Lunken Tower and from other airport authorities in the area. I'm going to answer this radio one more time, and you can do it however you want a second. Command go.
Chief, if you haven't already, you might want to consider a recall.
So the chief here is getting ready to answer a couple of questions for us, but we do know that this accident happened a couple hours ago now, 15:18 military time. He was saying that the good news here, no one was inside of that home. They don't believe that anyone living at that home was hurt, and they have all been accounted for. He also said that there were 2 dogs inside the home that are safe and were not injured in all of this, but they do not know about the identities or how many people may have been on that plane. We do know that when it crashed, it was on fire. Take questions now.
We'll take some questions, and we'll see how. You've got tons of questions. We get that, but
Are there any survivors, Chief?
We don't know how many people were on the aircraft, so we don't know. We know that there is nobody that was on the aircraft that has come to us or that we've located. How's that for a Dodge answer?
Chief, how many people could this aircraft see?
Boy, I don't know which particular model. It's a Piper Twin, and generally those are set up for 6 seats, but I'm not sure.
Can you tell us the extent of injuries?
The extent of injuries are fatalities, so
you can't confirm?
I can confirm a fatality.
A fatality or fatalities?
We don't know.
Okay. At least one.
At least one. At least the pilot. Yeah.
And do we know where this plane was coming from?
We do not. We don't know whether it originated at Lunken and was returning to Lunken, but we know it was returning to Lunken. Now, where it started, that we don't know. That's part of what we're trying to find out. And we can do that by having the tail number of the aircraft and then finding out whether the aircraft had a flight plan. On a day like today, the aircraft could be flying VFR and could be flying in the area with no flight plan whatsoever. And so we wouldn't know then as much as we might know when we do the research back through the aircraft's tail number.
Chief, you said that they may have been taking pictures of the area. Do you know if this was for some sort of business or if this was for their own personal use?
We don't know. We don't know.
Has the NTSB been called in yet?
They have.
When are we expecting them to arrive?
I don't know. Did you hear that?
Representative from FAA and NTSB have been notified, and they should be arriving shortly to assist with the investigation.
Who else is here on scene as far as agencies?
Sycamore Township Fire and Madera and Indian Hill Fire were the responders. We actually came at this incident from both sides. So Madera and Indian Hill is on the Kaywood side, Sycamore Township's on the Raleigh-Mead side. The incident is right between the two streets. Then Madera Police Department, Ohio State Patrol, the Hamilton County Coroner has been called, NTSB, did I say Ohio State Police, the Cincinnati Fire Department, Cincinnati CVG Fire Department, who has a lot of training in this area, also has a rep assisting us right now because they can get backside information quicker and know who to get that from than we do. So, and all that information is going to be given to the Madera Police Department and through them to the Ohio State Patrol, who probably will be lead on this one now.
Correct. Can you talk about, is this a rare occurrence? Have you guys had any issues before?
You know, aircraft fly all over this area all the time, and they don't crash terrifically often. So it's unusual for this community.
Chief, do you know when the last airplane crashed larger than near St. Gertrude, about 30 or 40 years ago?
It predates my tenure here, which is 19 or 20 years, but there have been planes down in Indian Hill and Madera both over time, but it's been quite a while.
Where that is the flight path.
Yeah, we're on a flight path into Lunken on most weather conditions.
So what's the next steps for you guys, Chief?
Secure the scene and make sure that everything is left on the scene the way it is, because we want to try to find out as much about the cause of the accident as we can.
99 back on
So that's one of those things that our guys are holding the scene secure and dealing with residual fire when it springs up. But otherwise, we're waiting for then a very concerted, organized effort to examine the scene and figure out what happened.
Chief, we don't have a good...
Have you seen the damage?
It's extensive.
Describe parts that are maybe strewn around the yard? Or...
Yes, all of that stuff. All of that stuff, yes.
Yeah, Chief, we don't have a good visual of exactly where this happened, so just kind of lay it out for our viewers what it looks like.
Okay, it's in a backyard, a residential backyard that might be 100 by 100 clearance between a fence and the home. And it struck what was was an addition to the home, a family room addition to the home, and it's taken out about half of that room. And then it struck hard on the front edge of the aircraft, so that part of the aircraft is destroyed.
If people would have been home, would they have been able to survive that type of impact?
May have been. May very well have been. There was no fire extension into the house. It's mechanical damage of the house from the aircraft striking the house. So yes, people could have been home in many areas of the house and done just fine.
Can you tell us if the victim was male or female?
I don't know the answer to that. The only thing I can tell you that we did confirm with the homeowner who has arrived on scene that he knows where everybody that could have been in the house is, and they're all okay.
A couple of dogs were saved.
A couple of dogs. I think the police took care of the dogs and got the dogs taken care of.
Is there any indication, I know it's early, but that air traffic control was getting any word that there was distress on this plane?
Those stories are beginning to develop.
Chief, when can we expect another update from you guys?
I was talking with Lieutenant Phillips. It's 16:30 or 6 so about. So we're aware that. Do all you guys go live at 6 or what's? I mean, we'll try to help you as much as we can, but within reason.
Pretty much going to be live from here on out.
Okay.
Can we,
Next couple
can we
hours.
fly our drone, get a drone shot from
No.
along the street corridor?
No. No.
Any chance we can just get closer?
We'll consider that. Yeah, we'll consider that.
Are there any photos that your department or any department that can provide of the scene at the moment?
There isn't. And I'm going to, we'll talk with law enforcement about that when it gets to that point.
Did the airport try to notify the fire department of like a plane about to go down or anything?
That story is developing.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you guys have an ETA on FAA investigators coming in?
No, I don't.
Lieutenant Phillips, talk about OSP's role in all this. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office has helicopters in the air. Where are you guys moving forward?
Moving forward, we're going to partner with the people that are experts in these kind of investigations, really trying to figure out what exactly happened and as much as we can about the aircraft, who was on the aircraft, and what it was doing. And OSP is going to assist us in that. Also, we're going to work closely with the FAA as well in that investigation.
Can we talk about the road closures in the area? I mean, are folks going to have to be aware of this?
There will be limited access for rolling meat here, where the incident's at, and also limited access to Kaywood, which is the next cross street down on Shawnee Run.
Shawnee Run's going to be open.
Shawnee Run will be open. But, if you're going to be in the area, proceed with caution because there's going to be a lot of vehicles in and out, media vehicles and stuff like that. We're trying to get you guys as close to the scene as possible so we can reassure the community that everyone's safe. There's nothing to be concerned about at the moment. The scene is secure. The fire is out. Officers were able to quickly assess that there was nobody present in the home and actually get the 2 dogs that were inside out of the house.
Can we have you say your name as well, just so we make sure?
Oh, sure. It's Lieutenant Paul Phillips. 2 L's in Phillips.
So maybe what we'll try to do is get back with you at 6, okay? And we'll say here, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
We'll say here, but we may, one of the things we'll talk about is traffic control, and we'll try to get room for people that need to get in. We also have to worry about the residents getting in. And so as much courtesy as you can extend to them, that'd be great also.